Intuition will always guide you to success. Friends, did you know that when we are at the end of our lives, on our deathbeds, 90% of human beings have regrets. Of those regrets, 76% regret something that they did not do out of concern of what other people's opinions would be. I want you to think about this. You're right here in the present moment at this TED Talk, and you're going to live until 105 years old. What are all of the different things that you want to do within your lifetime? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to travel the world? Do you want to have a family, a home, create some invention? What is coming from your heart that you really want to do within this lifetime? This has been a question that's been on my mind since I was actually a little girl. What goes wrong between right now when you're in college, when you're young, and when you're 105 years old, that so many of us, 90%, pass away with regrets? What I found is that when you take in your intuition, what's calling to your heart, and you act on that intuition, it leads you to a place of fulfillment. That's what we're talking about today. On August 5th, 2015, I was brushing my daughter's hair. There she is in the back of the audience. She was really little at the time, though. She was in kindergarten, preschool, and I was brushing her hair August 5th, 2015. I started to hear this voice within me. It's my own inner wisdom. And it said, she needs a hairbrush like I used. She needs a hairbrush like I used. Well, I've been a writer since I was 14 years old, and that's not the vernacular that I would use within my own internal dialogue. And it was really curious. Why was this voice saying this within myself? She needs a hairbrush like I used. I didn't know. I had only used this big old black paddle brush my entire life. Well, this voice didn't stop all month long. Every single time I brushed her hair, I'd hear the same thing. She needs a hairbrush like I used. She needs a hairbrush like I used. Fast forward an entire month, I'm at work, sitting in a business meeting with a colleague, and I get a phone call. I get a phone call on repeat from a family member. You know that something's wrong when that happens. So I answered the call, and I found out that my dad had passed away. Immediately, out of my third eye, which they call your psychic sight, I saw this vision of my dad combing my hair when I was a little girl in elementary school. And he was using a hairbrush that I hadn't thought about in decades. It was a wooden handlebar with boars-like bristles. And I thought to myself within, oh my goodness, my dad's been talking to me. It turns out that he had passed away on August 5th when this voice within started saying, she needs a hairbrush like I used. And all month long, my dad was trying to get my attention through my own inner wisdom. Now, I always thought that when you communicate with the other side, or hear your intuition, or hear your loved ones on the other side, it's going to sound like somebody else's voice, but it doesn't. It sounds like your own internal dialogue. And in that moment, as soon as I had that awareness, oh my goodness, my dad's on the other side, and he's been trying to communicate with me, my consciousness split. You have two voices within. Anybody ever heard from yoga the term monkey mind? We all have that monkey mind within, chatters away at us all day long. But we all have this silent, soft voice within. That's your inner wisdom, and it's talking to you all the time. Scientists state that intuition is the ability to understand or know something without reasoning. But I think it's your soul's voice. The voice of God, universe, source, your angels, your guides, your loved ones, coming through from the other side to help guide you in this life. Now, it doesn't matter whether or not you believe intuition is too woo for me, Julie, I don't believe in intuition, because intuition is scientifically backed. The Heart Math Institute has said 3 things. Your intuition is a legitimate source of consciousness that's guiding you. Not only that, but as soon as you get intuitive information, it's registering within your heart and within your mind. And not only that, but once your body is aware of this information, it is processing it within your physical being the exact same way as your body processes any other sensory information. Touch, feel, sight, sound. It's all being processed within your physical body. So again, doesn't matter if you don't believe in intuition, because your body does. And it's taking that information into account. And you're either living in a way where you're allowing it to guide you, or you're ignoring that source of guidance completely. Now, again, your intuition is not the only voice within you. It is one of 2. You have that egoic mind, you have that intuition. What I believe the problem is, and why 90% of people end up passing away with regrets, one of the biggest keys is that they have this intuition, but they don't know what it sounds like. They don't know how to tune into it. And so they're not following it. They're not allowing it to guide them. And they get stuck. And that's what happened to me. So when I was a young girl, and I'd look at different things, I remember being in a Costco and seeing this huge trampoline on the ceiling. I was maybe 6th grade at the time. And I remember saying to my dad, "Dad, I want that trampoline." And he goes, "All right, how bad do you want it? Go out and start working for it." So I did. At 6th grade, I went out, I started working, and I didn't stop since. By the time I was 33 years old, I had worked my way up, following my intuition every single step of the way, to the title I wanted, to the salary I wanted, to having a team working for me. And it was really the life I had dreamed of. It was a life that I was on a trajectory within my career to be at the height of my industry by retirement. So on paper, there was all of this success, but within my heart, I was not fulfilled at all. I felt just so much angst and, I want to be doing something else with my life. Now, friends, there are a lot of college students in the audience today, and here's what I want you to know. I love college. It prepares you in so many ways for the world. But what it doesn't prepare you for is this. What happens when your college degree leads you to a place of success? And you get to that place of success and yet you're still not completely fulfilled. What do you do then? You listen to your intuition and you allow it to guide you to your next step. Does everybody have the gift of intuition? Yes. Why? Because I believe it's your soul's voice. And that soul voice within, it's never going to leave you. It cannot possibly leave you because you're a soul first, human being second. So what puts you in a state of receptivity to hearing your intuition? Silence, stillness. When you get silent and still in this fast-paced world that we live in, and you tune in, and you ask yourself questions, boom, there are answers that are going to come in, and those answers are guiding you. What are the steps that you need to take in order to hear and follow your intuition? The first is your intuition is going to come in, but it's not going to do anything for you unless you take action, right? I believe manifestation got it all wrong. I was there in 2006 when The Secret came out, and it was a wonderful film, but everybody thought that they could just write a check for $1 million to themselves, put it on their rooftop, or when they're sleeping, look up at the wall and see it. to take action. And I believe that the first question that you can do is ask yourself, who am I here to serve? How am I here to help this world in some way? Because friends, as a soul, I believe every soul is its own infinity. And as your soul is infinite, you have infinite gifts, talents, skills, abilities that you're here to share with this world. So as soon as you ask your intuition, get quiet, get still, ask within, who am I here to serve? How can I help in some way? You're going to hear something come back to you, and that's guidance for your future. Continually ask yourself, what do I want? Not in a way that's egoic, I want a Ferrari, I want this mansion, I want this over here. If that's what you want, that's okay. But there are a lot of people who just need to go within and ask, what do I want? Especially women. It's documented that women do not ask themselves what they want out of fear that they're going to look a certain way to the world. You have to ask yourself what it is that you want in order to hear your intuition and allow it to guide you. Allow yourself to dream. So as I was talking to you before about getting that success and getting to that point in my career and yet still being unfulfilled, I remember this moment. I was in my office. I had one window in this beautiful office that was all windows. And I caught myself thinking as I looked out of this window, I love my family life, but I'm completely unfulfilled in my career. I want to do something else. Maybe I could be a life coach. And as soon as I thought that, which was my intuition, my egoic mind came in and said, no, you have to be grateful. Force this gratitude. If you're just grateful for another 30 years, you'll be at the height of your career, you can retire, you're going to have the best life because you got so much success already and coming your way. Just be grateful for another 20 or 30 years, and you've got it made. But how do we stay stuck in a life that we don't love for 20 or 30 years and force that gratitude? Don't stop yourself from dreaming, friends. When you allow yourself to dream and think, okay, well, could I be a life coach? Could I do this? Research what you could do. It allows your intuition to bring in more information. Define success for yourself. I've worked with thousands of clients. I've interviewed thousands of people, hundreds of spiritual experts, and this is what I believe right now. A lot of people, especially younger people, aren't tuning in to their intuition because they define success differently from others. A lot of people define success. You see this on TikTok, on Instagram a lot. People come into money and they're spending it in different ways and they're flaunting it, and that's okay. If that's you, you do you. But if that's not your definition of success and you go to your intuition and say, talk to me, intuition, and it says go this way. Well, I don't want this because a lot of people who get there flaunt all of this. I don't want that version of success. You're going to stop yourself from dreaming. You're going to stop yourself from hearing your intuition. The more you define success for yourself, the more you're going to get where you want to go. Be willing to begin before you have all of the answers. So many of my clients want this owner's manual for their life. They want me to say, all right, in 3 weeks, this is going to happen. Be prepared for it. In 3 years, this is what's coming up. They want all of the answers to where they're going before they begin. And they wait, and they wait, and they wait. And I've got clients who have waited for 20 years to get started on their dreams because they're waiting for all of the answers to be fully prepared in their own perfectionism before they begin. And it's not coming. So you have to be willing to begin without the owner's manual. If you go in and ask your intuition, all right, what's my next first step? It is always going to lead you. Well, you might not have the owner's manual. Your intuition guarantees you one thing all the time, and that is your next first step. And friends, here's what I know. Everybody on this planet is either crawling, walking, or running with their intuition. When you're crawling with your intuition, maybe you tune in and you will use your own inner guidance twice a year to listen to it, allow it to guide your life. When you're walking with your intuition, maybe you listen to your intuition once a week and allow it to guide your life. When you are running with life using your intuition, you're listening to it 100 times a day. Think about that mathematically. When you're crawling with your intuition, you're using it twice a year. When you are walking with your intuition, you're using it 52 times a year. And I did not calculate this out before I came on stage, but that's a much different energy from listening to your intuition 100 times a day all year long. Friends, if you keep taking your next first step and your next first step and your next first step that your intuition gives you, it's going to lead you to a state of fulfillment. And I believe that we in this life got the word happiness wrong. And I'm not the only one that believes this. Happiness experts that I've had on my best top number 5 worldwide spiritual podcast have said the exact same thing. Happiness is an emotion. Fulfillment is a state of being. You love your partner, you love your kids, you love your family, even when you're not with them. That's a state of being. And when you continually follow your next first step, it leads you to a state of being that is feeling full of life, full of love, joy, peace, bliss, ease, and grace. And that's what we're all going for. So how do you get from where you are right now to the end of your life when you're 105